I don't know how we can reverse this mess, but let me tell you something. Land grabbing is well alive in 2024. Guess who just bought 20% of Zimbabwe's land, 10% of Liberia, 10% of Zambia, and 8% of Tanzania? And by the way, collectively, that's like the size of the UK, or at least half of France. Meet Sheikh Ahmed Dalmouk Al Maktoum, who is a young member of the Dubai royal family, who probably doesn't know the language being spoken in those countries, runs an organization called Blue Carbon that's out here snatching lands in Africa for however long they need it in order for UAE to fulfill its Paris Agreement. I know you're probably thinking, what do UAE fulfilling its Paris Agreement have to do with us? I'll tell you how you got dragged into it. Now, according to the Paris Agreement in 2015, countries are responsible to bring down their carbon emission because it's causing an overall rise in global temperature, which is very fascinating because according to this 2022 chart, you can kind of see Africa producing the least amount of carbon emission, which kind of makes sense since Africa is like a poor continent. We're not producing anything. And you can see Asia, where UAE lies, on the rise. So why did we roll up to the Paris Agreement? Because we're not doing the most. Now let's go back to why Africa's involved. Now, first of all, let me get this clear. UAE is going to do nothing to change its production model to lower emission, all right? Because clearly that's going to affect their profit margin. And look at UAE right now, how beautiful it is, and their economy is booming. You guys go there for vacation. Yeah, they're not going to tamper with that. So that's when we have carbon offsetting, what they call carbon trading, which basically states that countries that have high carbon emission, by the way, guys, this whole climate change talk, but this is the kind of games they want to play. Anyways, countries that have high carbon emission could go ahead and fund projects or protected forests because, it absorbs greenhouse gases, and somehow that's going to count as carbon credit contribution for their Paris Agreement. Even though they didn't change anything, they're still emitting the same amount, or if not more. So how does that work? Now, we're probably going to hear from some fellow Africans telling us that's a business deal right there. Tell me, when on God's green earth have you ever seen a rich African buying lands 10% in Arabia? Do you think they're going to allow that? No. And I'm telling you this one, UAE probably can deal with this carbon emissions by itself, but no, because deep down inside, you're going to have things like this be done in the dark, right? UAE has set its sight on Africa's critical minerals. So do you think it was always about climate change? Yes, and I'm fully aware that the other picture is another royal family. At the end of the day, guys, they all work with each other, so calm down. Now, this article I thought was very fascinating, and it tells you about previously deals that have fell through, like they always do, because you can clearly see how our continent looked like. It states that the money does not usually go directly to the community which is involved in the preservation of the forest. Usually the government just takes the money and they do what they think the community needs. And I'm gonna leave you guys with this important point over here. This has been the case for multiple other deals, which the government makes behind closed doors, and it's never actually put up for deliberation or any forms of democracy process, like the case of many other countries.